Yes, sir.
Ryan Clark, disciple of Jesus Christ residing in Grants Pass, Oregon. I represent a growing number of concerned citizens who have awoken from slumber and apathy concerning the great Holocaust of our time. I speak for those who have no voice, the least among us. I speak to exhort you before God, who measures the hearts of men to end all abortions in our city. You may hear the tune as I speak these next words. Where were you when the world stopped turning that September day? On the day that 3,000 people died in a wicked act of terrorism, I lived in the suburb just outside of Chicago. I kissed my pregnant wife goodbye, and I drove into the city where I worked as a campus security for a downtown college. I remember this day well. Where were you on that September day, September 11th, 2001? Where were you when the world stopped turning that September day? On the day that over 3,000 babies were murdered in a wicked act of genocide. I kissed my wife of 20 years goodbye as I drove my daughter to work. I remember this day well. Where were you on this September day, September 4th, 2019? In the midst of the overwhelming reality of thousands dead every day, we must not overlook a very important number, the number 1. Today, a baby was murdered. As we take a moment of silence, know that the blood of every murdered baby cries out and stains the ground, every single one. So as we are in silence, God will not hear silence, He will hear their voices. Please join me. The weight of even one baby flushed down the toilet in our community hurts my heart, because where is the memorial to them? You have to end it first before you can have one. One life matters, and anybody who's lost a loved one knows that. We don't need thousands to be motivated. One is enough. I saw a sign that said 5 lives have been lost on Redwood Highway this year, and that's a tragedy, and I agree. 5. Medford is now following Grants Pass in adding abortion services. So I'm here to tell you that we either actively support the murder of babies, we actively endorse it by our apathy, or we actively oppose it. There's the number 1. And my question is, who's going to be the one who fears God more than man, who loves God and his neighbor more than man? Please end abortion.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Kathy Anselet. For 6 months now, we've been presenting evidences of the wickedness of abortion in Planned Parenthood. We shared the truth in tragic detail while you patiently listened to our plea for an end to abortion in our beloved city. I have 3 questions for all of you as the rules of this dialogue do command. Do you not believe me? Do you not care? Is the life of a Grants Pass citizen in the womb something that you just don't want to think about? Please know that we are well aware that some of you may have a different worldview than we do as followers of Christ. To you then I will appeal. The predominance of human biological research confirms that human life begins at conception or fertilization. At fertilization, the human being emerges as a whole, genetically distinct individual zygote, a human organism, a member of the species Homo sapien, a statement by the American College of Pediatricians. An embryo is the early developing fertilized egg that is growing into another individual of the species. Quote from Oxford University. Even back in 1859, the American Medical Association published a statement strongly opposing abortion, calling it a crime, and publicly entered into a protest against such unwarrantable destruction of human life. They particularly commented on the independence of the zygote during time between its formation and implantation, which happens within the first 24 hours as the sperm and egg bind to each other. The membranes of these 2 cells fuse, creating in less than 1 second a single hybrid cell, the zygote, or one-celled embryo. Unborn babies are constitutional persons is a quote from Harvard Journal of Law and Public Policy. This statement challenges the Supreme Court's pro-choice decision. You see, the majority of the court since Roe v. Wade refuses to decide whether an unborn child is a human being with human rights. The court basically says, who knows? So we'll just say no. Really? That's it? The epitome of intelligence in a black robe? Once again, this is an over-the-top case of eclipse of reasoning in a holocaust of thousands of life or deaths every day, and it proves that Psalm 118, verse 8 is the truth. It's better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. There is a reason that God put that verse in the exact center of his scriptures. It should be the centrality of our lives, and my plea remains, abolish human abortion in Grants Pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.